Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the invite tonight. I'm very excited to share some information with you about social media and cybersecurity. Data is everywhere, and it's growing at a pace that was unimaginable merely a decade ago. Every day, every 2 days, we create as much data as we did from the beginning of mankind through 2003. As a society, we are more connected today than ever. We are communicating with friends across the globe. Data is the currency of the future, and we can expect the amount of information to continue to grow as technology leaps forward. Imagine, the cell phone didn't exist 20 years ago. Can you really believe that? Can you imagine a life without a cell phone? In fact, the first cell phone was not released to the public until 1983. Today, many of us carry more than one electronic device. How many of you in the audience here are carrying an electronic device right now? Raise your hand. I don't see very many hands not being raised right now. Maybe some of the little kids in the room, but that's about it. So think about it. We now access the internet. We pay for our coffee. We interact with our friends on Facebook, Twitter, and other social media forums, all from our cell phone, from our smartphones. We read books and watch movies on iPads and Kindle systems. We listen to music on our iPod or MP3 player. And not just in the US. The rest of the world is participating too. So the question is, how secure are these devices? Think about the personal information you're storing on those phones today. How about the personal information you share over social media? What thoughts come to mind when you visualize these words and you start to think about what they really mean? Do they strike fear? Today, there are multiple organizations, industry, academia, the US government, that are working to ensure the integrity of data and information across these networks and to protect and defend our networks. Cyber warriors, in a sense. So let's explore the world of cybersecurity and talk about the challenges these organizations are facing. This series of talks you're hearing tonight is titled Hackers. So what does that modern-day term really mean? The Google definition defines hacker as a computer slang for a person who attempts to gain unauthorized access to proprietary systems. There are good hackers and there are bad hackers. The types of attacks perpetrated have a lot of different motivation and intents depending on the type of hacker. Robert Siciliano, a McAfee security evangelist, identified 7 different types of hackers. Some good, some bad. Kinds of attacks are very different. White hackers, the good guys, are the computer security experts who are probing the networks to understand the vulnerabilities and to protect the systems. The bad hackers, the black hat hackers, the ones that are trying to penetrate the system to get information to really for the purpose of gaining money. And then you have the hacktivists, which is one of the greatest terms we've started to learn about this last year. Hacktivists are motivated by politics or religion or wish to expose information about another entity, typically trying to expose wrongdoings of others. State-sponsored hackers are also focused on controlling cyberspace and targeting civilians, corporations, and governments. Spy hackers infiltrate the competitor to steal trade secrets, intellectual property, and to gain a competitive advantage. The way they gain access is either from outside or inside the corporation. This is what we call insider threat. Cyber terrorists are generally motivated by religious or political beliefs with the intent to create fear or chaos by interrupting or disrupting critical infrastructure. In August of last year, the online group known as Anonymous hacked into 70 law enforcement systems, defacing websites and exposing sensitive information. This is known as a hacktivist. Today, spy hackers will leverage malware, social media, social engineering to gain access to sensitive data, intellectual property, and competitor intelligence. It's the state-sponsored spy and cyber terrorists that are of greatest concern to the national government. These hackers will collect the information they need from a variety of sources to gain access to computer systems. They will leverage social media. They will leverage the GPS postings from the pictures you take. They will leverage social media postings about where you may be at any moment in time. They'll leverage the video images from your posts on Facebook and YouTube. In a rare open hearing in January of the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, the FBI Director Robert Mueller indicated that stopping terrorists is the #1 priority and that cyber threats would surpass terrorism as the country's top concern. He indicated that we're losing data, money, ideas, and innovation at a pace that is unacceptable. The system is taking a moment here. So what are they looking for? Oh, sorry, let's get this going here. So what are they looking for? For you, they want your personal information for identity theft. For industry and academia, they want intellectual property and trade secrets to gain the competitive advantage. For the government, they want information to gain knowledge about military strategies, to understand how to attack our economy. They want to create fear and take control. So what is our strategy for thwarting against these attacks? You can take control by protecting your personal information. Think about the data you store on your home computer or your smartphone. Use firewalls and encryption technologies to protect your systems and your data. Control access to your systems, use strong passwords, change your passwords frequently, use lots of different types of passwords, and set share protections on your media sites. Limit what you share publicly and think about the timing of when you share the information. It's great to share those pictures when you're on vacation with everybody in real time, but guess what that's saying to everybody else? Oh my gosh, they're out of town. I can go burglarize their house. And believe me, they will be thinking that. Do you use Facebook to set up meetings with your colleagues? If you haven't set your privacy settings correctly on Facebook, you're setting it up at Starbucks, let's say. They now know that you may be meeting with another company to plan the proposal that's coming out the next week. They also could be maybe sitting next to you at Starbucks and listening to what you're talking about. So think about what you're sharing. Depending on the privacy of how you've set up your systems, you may be sharing information publicly through these social media tools, and to think about what it's saying about you, your family, your friends, the companies you work for. You're sharing private information in a public forum. So how do we leverage this information to protect and defend our country? The goal of a government research and development agency, like the one I work for, is to develop next-generation technologies for research for the purpose of tying it into industry. Jointly, typically, is how we work. The eye can capture far more information through a visual interface than through reading text or data and material. We're focused on how these visual metaphors can help us explore extreme amounts of data in a collaborative, real-time setting. We want our analysts to be able to share the knowledge they're gaining and to exploit the power of many eyes on one problem. We develop environments that connect our research tools with real data. We operate facilities where our analysts are exploring vast amounts of cyber data collected daily across the complex of cyber networks that the government operates. We detect trends in cyber traffic. We provide situational awareness to other government agencies, and we share this information with industry. We want everyone to have the same situational awareness of what's going on. There's an advanced persistent threat leveled against the US government agencies to gain information that can be used for a variety of purposes. Our job is to defend and protect the nation, its infrastructure, and to gain cyber awareness. The impact of our research is to accelerate the development and deployment of new technologies and tools into everyday use. We work in concert with industry to accomplish that outcome. So let's talk a little bit about some of the different technologies that we do use. The real purpose here is to be able to gain cyber awareness and cyber knowledge against the activities that are going on, to correlate information and data, and to use these visual interfaces to protect the cyber networks that we see. We work with industry, leveraging the next generation of analytic technologies and computer architecture, specifically focused on data-intensive computing. We leverage our technologies in text and multimedia analysis to create visual interfaces like you see in the pictures behind you here. We create scalable visual metaphors so we can look at data over a year, over a week, over a month, over a minute. And we connect the research, operations, and industry communities for rapid prototyping. The impact is mitigating and understanding these attacks. It's actually developing the next generation of technologies that will help us continue to stay up with the advantage of the attackers. Today, the attackers have the advantage. We want to create an asymmetric environment where we have the advantage defending our networks. We're not going to be spending billions of dollars to protect our networks where the attacker is only spending a few cents, which is really what it is today. So we provide large-scale situational awareness in these computing networks. One of the other pieces that we do is we leverage the threats through these early warning systems of open media analysis. When you're sharing information with the public, depending on how you set your privacy settings. We can look for trends in Twitter feeds and be able to bring all of that information together, merge it with other types of data products, whether it's video, text, intelligence analysis reports, operational data. We bring all of those pieces of information together and develop visual interfaces like you see here. This technology is then sent throughout the government. We use it in FEMA, we use it for emergency management operations, and we use it in terms of local government. In fact, we also leverage these technologies to support state and local agencies in your area here today. Did you know that the Seattle and King County Police Departments are using these social media technologies to thwart gang activity and to more quickly respond to accidents? Your public utilities are using social media to know where power outages are occurring or where greater snow removal is needed. You guys have been hit tremendously over the last few years with snowstorms. And so they're leveraging the information that you're putting out on the interfaces that say you don't have snow removal in your area. Our connected cyber environments bring up so much opportunity to advance as a society and as a community. It's important to not let the words hacker, cyber terrorist, cyber attack create fear, but rather to think intentionally about how to protect our information, how to responsibly use these technologies, and how to leverage the opportunity for advancement. There's a lot of young folks in the audience tonight, and I want to take this opportunity to encourage you to think about how these activities that we've talked about tonight, how you can have a difference in the world that we live in. You can leverage these activities for good. You can leverage these activities to make a difference. The other thing you can do is think about what your careers might be in the future. There's not enough people going into these sciences, and I want to encourage you to think about going into science, engineering, math, computer science. This is a multidisciplinary approach that's going to be required to address these grand challenges here, and I encourage you to think about how you can make a difference in that space. Thank you.
Debbie, thank you very much. You know, I was just thinking as I was listening to you, I actually tweeted that I'm here tonight. Did I make a mistake?
You did, if your wife's here with you too, and nobody's at home.
So hopefully I'm okay.
I hope so.
Actually, on a more serious point, are there things that our schools, our government, or even companies like mine, Microsoft, could be doing differently to make the situation safer for people?
I think so. I think education is the most important piece, creating awareness. I mean, obviously, one of the advantages of being able to communicate in this forum is to create awareness of these technologies and social responsibility for using them. I think that we have to recognize as an educational system that these technologies are being used every day by our children. And how do we protect them? How do we help them understand how to be responsible young adults in utilizing these technologies and how to protect themselves? Most people don't realize the GPS on your phone, when you take a picture, it's actually tagging your phone. If you're taking pictures of your children, now you're telling people where your children are going to school, you're telling the world where you live, and there's a lot of people out there that are going to leverage that information for bad purposes. So you want to think about how you're interacting and how you can be responsible and educate the world in those types of outcomes.
Now, I'd like to give the audience a chance to ask questions, but and so you might think about questions that you have. But let me ask first. You know, one of the things as someone who's also an employer in the field is we don't see many women in your kind of position. How has it been for you being a woman in a largely man's world?
Well, that's a great question. I will tell you, when I started my education way more years ago than I will share, I was actually discriminated against. I was told to get out because I wasn't going to make it. And of course, with my personality, all that did was make me stronger to fight against it. But really, I don't think you experience those things nearly as much today. The environment has opened up significantly to women in science. I think it's exciting to go into work every day and to get to learn something new. Throughout my career, I've worked in so many different domains, as I think Peter shared. And to have an opportunity to work with so many different people, at some point you build a reputation where it doesn't matter what your gender is. It matters what you can, the impact you can have and the work that you can do. And that's what drives a lot of people. And I just hope as young women, you recognize that it's worth sticking with it and going to the next level, because the impact you can have on the world and the impact you can have every day in what you do is incredible. And it's an incredible feeling to know that you're making a difference.
It's really obvious just looking at you that you seem very fulfilled, but more than that, even having fun.
Yep, it's a great job.
I wonder if we have anyone in the audience who has a question for Debbie. Oh, lots of questions.
Oh my gosh.
Let's go over in the front this time, front row. Yes.
So you mentioned both the benefits of being able to have this publicly and public, both with the facilities and government. How do you think those benefits compare with the potential negatives of being able to access the data? It seems to me that currently it's more beneficial for government and utilities to see that compared with this real but negligible threat of being able to see where you're.
Right. You have to balance, and you have to be intelligent and thoughtful about what you're posting. You know, if you're posting the fact that there's an accident on a certain freeway and you're stuck in traffic, you know, that's one thing. But if you're posting information about your family and information that could be used against your family, you want to be careful and intentional and think about that. So you have to balance the information that you're sharing. You have to balance when you share it. There's no problem with posting those vacation pictures. You might just wait until you get home to post them and let folks know, hey, I had a great vacation, I'm home now, and here's all the wonderful pictures and the experience that I had while I was there. I recently traveled to South Africa for a vacation, and I took all these great pictures, and it was incredible. I wanted to share it real time in the moment with everybody, but I also recognized what it was telling everyone. And so I waited, I got home, I posted them on the internet, then everybody's like, oh, that's incredible, I want to have that same experience that you had. But then they were able to ask me the next day at work, what was that like? So, you know, you just have to be thoughtful in how you post and what you post, and really be intentional in that thought process.
Sounds like great advice. I think we have time for one more. Maybe we can go on this side. Yes, you.
So I think there's a lot of information that we can learn from other governments. I mean, if you just think about some educational systems where the science and the engineering is a critical component of educating our students. We don't stop our math education at a certain age. We don't stop our science education at a certain age. We embrace science as a discipline that is actually about empowering our country rather than thinking about it as geeks. I really hate that word because I think it sends a message to people that it's not cool to be scientists, that it's not cool to be an engineer. But I think if we can empower our folks, our communities, we can learn a lot from other governments in that sense. I think also in terms of the openness and the world that we create. We live in a wonderful, amazing country that has so much freedom, and we have to balance all of that with the risk that we also have because of it. So I think we have to take education from a lot of other spaces.
Debbie, thank you very much.
Thank you.